Hey everyone, thanks for joining us again here at the Warwick 2016 Base Camp. Here today with Jeff Hughell. Thanks for coming, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. We're here to talk about this new bass you've just got from production, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
So this is my first fretless Warwick,
Okay.
and I really wanted, I had looked at some fretboard wood the last time I was here in December, and we went through the custom stock of wood.
Yeah.
And I saw a piece just like this, and I was like, wow, I really need to get a fretboard like that at some point. I originally had thought that tiger stripe ebony, it was all dark.
Yeah.
And so the first time I came to the factory, there's a little example on the wall, where it shows where it goes from the light part to the dark part.
Yeah.
And so I always just wanted something like that in this piece. They sent me some pictures of pieces, and I got to choose what I wanted. And
So this is the fingerboard, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it came out amazing. And like we were talking about before, it's got that truss rod cover is also wood, and it looks like they cut it out right from the end piece of the neck. So I mean, yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And then it's got a Babinga body, which is like my other 7-string, which it's very dense, heavy wood. It gets a great tone, and then it has a Mascar ebony top on the headstock and on the body, and so it also has a clear finish on it. It looks like it's a really dark stain or something, but that's just the wood.
Right.
That's just the way it looked. And they were, everybody was telling me, oh, well, if we do a clear stain, it's going to look really dark. And I was like, well, that's cool. That's that's what it's going to look like. And yeah, I mean, I'm just blown away by it. It's got also has the the light up.
Oh yeah, nice.
W, and then it's got the dots on the side. But yeah, I really wanted a piece of wood like this with nothing on it. There's no fretboard markings, there's no logos, nothing like that. So yeah, it's amazing looking bass.
Sure, man. Yeah, that's great. So why 7-string?
I've been playing 7 strings for about 17 years now.
Yeah.
And I started because I always just envisioned these tapping lines or melodic lines that went up just a little bit higher than a 6-string. And so that's why I originally started playing it. And a lot of my solo stuff, there's actually, there's some parts that are guitar sounding, with distortion. And so on top of having the fretless thing, I'm going to experiment with doing some kind of distorted stuff on the higher strings and see how that works out.
Sure.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, how is it tuned? Can you tell us the range of this thing?
Yeah, so right now it's actually tuned in standard tuning because I just got it.
Right.
So it's a low B, and then standard tuning E, A, D, G, C, F. So what I normally tune to is 2 whole steps down. So the lowest string would be a G, and then a C, and then a F, and then B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I typically tune in. And I mean, for 6 Feet Under and for just my solo stuff, I really like the having C, which is the 2nd string, as the main note. I think it's not too low, it's not too high. It's really just like the perfect balance of low heaviness without being too low.
Right.
Yeah, because you see a lot of people that they get 7 strings that have the extra low string, which would be like a low F, or some people drop it to the E, which I just, it's like inaudible practically. Yeah. I mean, you really have to be fretting something up here to make it worthwhile.
So can you tell us a bit about your background? I take it that you haven't always played 7-string, right? At one point you had a 4-string.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So what led to this? How did it kind of develop?
Well, like I said, I always just imagined, having an extra string, or from a 4-string, obviously an extra couple strings, and the new things that I could do and creativity that could come from having those extra strings. But I started out playing a 4-string. I also played upright bass in high school and jazz band, and a little bit of college and jazz band. And so I did have that experience of having obviously having to hear where the tuning comes in, but like I said, I just got this, and so I haven't really experimented with it that much. But
I mean, was there ever a point when you thought, you saw someone playing an extended range bass and you thought, oh wow, that's possible?
No. Yeah, because I mean, back in '99 when I started playing 7 strings, there wasn't really many people. I mean,
Right, yeah.
there was Bill Dickens, who was the guy that had his own custom bass through Conklin that they actually sold
Yeah.
on the market. And so I'd seen some videos of him with Shaka Khan, I believe,
Yeah.
you know, doing some solo stuff, but there wasn't many people that you heard really do anything with it.
Yeah.
And or really using the high range that you would hear in a song,
Right.
you know.
And what challenges has it brought for you when it goes to playing solo?
I mean, it's not really challenges. It's you know, it's a good thing because I have all this extra range to go up and like I said, doing stuff that normally you would hear guitars doing, and you know, a lot of people hear what I do and think that there's guitars on it. And
But do you have a different mindset when you play solo as when you play with a band?
oh yeah, way different mindset.
Right.
You know, the solo stuff, there's tons of layers of tracks, and a lot of times on the last album, there's pretty much rhythm bass, you know, and it's stereo, so there's 2 different tracks that I would play of each kind of bass line part, and then there's 2 to 4 tracks of the actual what would normally be like a guitar part, and so you know there might be distorted rhythm and then you know a harmony on top of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then playing in a band is obviously totally different because you know then my role is really as the bassist, obviously, and to hold down the low end. And you know, in my current band, I don't play too much high stuff on the 7 strings. I might throw in a tiny tapping thing here and there, but I mean, for the most part, I'm just, you know, 6 feet under. The main goal is to keep it heavy, and so I don't try to take away from that by trying to show off or do some crazy, unnecessary things.
Sure.
Yeah.
And can you talk us through your tapping approach?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple different techniques that I do, and you know, a lot of people know me for it's basically flat fists, you know, like, you know, you go up in flat fists and you come down in flat fists, and a 7 string is kind of perfect for that because you have the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, you know, so, you know, a lot of the times you'll hear in death metal, you know, a guitar player doing the sweeps that are all in diminished sounding things. So, you know, I come in and do that over it, and, you know, it kind of adds something to it. And then, you know, I've learned lots of ways to do different arpeggios, you know.
And how important is intonation when it comes to tapping, and accuracy, I guess? How do you build up that kind of memory?
Just practicing. You know, you start out with a metronome at a speed you're comfortable with, and then work up to where it needs to be for a song. And you know, I don't practice so much these days. I put in a lot of practice earlier on, you know, that got me to the speed that I am now. And so it's not as common for me to have to really work on something to get it. I've kind of got it there, but you know, every now and again there's of course something that I just can't play, and then I'll have to work it up with the metronome. And,
sure.
Yeah.
And can you tell us finally about your relationship with Warwick and how that came about and what it's given you?
Well, I've been a Warwick artist, I guess, for about 5 years now.
Okay, yeah.
And I mean, it's always been my favorite company.
Right.
Really. And
why is that?
Ever since the first time I played a Warwick, I just thought they were the best sounding basses, the coolest looking basses, and they just have that presence. You know, once you play it and you hit that first note, you can feel that presence of a Warwick. It's nothing like a Fender or, you know, any of these other brands. You know, it has its own tone, I think. And my first Warwick I got was a 6-string that I bought in about 2000, and it was a 6-string Corvette, Babinga. Once again, you know, real heavy bass, and at a certain point I was in a bad financial situation. I ended up selling it, you know, because I needed money.
Yeah.
And when I got married in 2004, my wife actually bought me the same bass as a wedding present.
Great.
And so that was how I got the Warwick back. And
Sure.
so I had always hoped that, you know, I could get a 7-string Warwick, and didn't really think it was possible. And when I was made the introduction to the old artist rep, Chris, he told me that they had a 7-string just sitting in the shop in New York. And so we kind of went back and forth, and he was like, oh, well, I'll just send you this bass, you know, you can check it out, because it's just sitting here, you know, no one's playing it.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away once I actually got it and, you know, compared it to the other 7 strings that I was currently playing. It was just next level. So
Sure.
yeah, I've loved it ever since. And then, you know, this is my second one that they've made for me, and yeah, I'm just in love with them.
Well, man, thanks a lot. I'm looking forward to hearing you get to grips with this new one.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
All right,
All right.
thank you, appreciate it.